2. Mic check, 1, 1, 2. Mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Do you have a radio? 1, 2. Mic check. Testing 1, 2. Mic check, 1, 2. Test 1. Microphone number 1, testing. Mic check, 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Microphone check, 1, 2, 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Check 1 2. Microphone 1 testing. Microphone 1 test 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Testing mic check 1 2. Microphone number 2 test mic check 1 2. Microphone check 1 testing mic check 1 2. Testing 1 2 mic check. They're both good. Mic check 1 2. Testing mic check 1 2. Test mic check. Microphone number 2. Checking mic microphone 1. Checking mic check 1 2.
ladies here today. Wow, we got some great entertainment for you. We got some trucks, we got some tractors, we got alcohol burners, we got diesel burners. So it's going to be a great night. Tractor pulling is like any other motorsports. It's kind of one of the oldest ones, least known ones around, but it's been around for several years. Used to be the farmers used to take their horses out and try to do what they used to call dead pulling, where they would just have it sit on a weight and a pad and see kind of how long it took them to be able to move that dead weight for a little bit. Well, then they decided to go ahead and start hooking up some tractors to that and do the same thing. Do a little dead weight pulling and just kind of see how long it would take them to move that dead weight a few inches in that. Then eventually they decided, well, we need something that we can actually go a little bit further. And at the old county fair pools, they would have like a sledded pan, and they would have a bunch of audience members and volunteers that would stand out on the track. And as that sled moved forward, they would sit there and stand on that sled and add more weight to it. And then as it progressed, then you came into what we have now is called a weight transfer device. And this is one of our motorized ones. This particular one here was built by Von Bauer out in Payton, Indiana. And he campaigns a bunch of pulling sleds throughout the country called Ironman. And even for the mini tractors that sometimes pull around, which we don't have here in Colorado, they have a sled that's called Iron Boy specifically for them. This is one of Von Bauer's originally built motorized pulling or sleds. Back in the old day when they actually had the weight transfer devices, you used to have a tractor hooked up to them to be able to pull it back. But now they have it motorized in that. And of course, there's 3 different changes that you can do on this sled, and we'll kind of talk about those throughout the night as Kyle, our sled driver, makes those changes as we get into the different classes in that. So, and a little interesting tidbit as far as the sled goes. There's actually pulling also happens out in England and the Netherlands and Germany, out in those areas. In Scotland, they also still call it a sled, but they also call it a sleigh. In Ireland, they call it a sleigh. Scotland, they call it a sledge. I thought was kind of interesting. Back in the Netherlands, they call the weight transfer device or sled a sleep wagon. And in Germany, they call it a Bremswagen. And in translation to that, in English terms, it is called a brake trailer or brake wagon. Something similar to what you would find in some of their locomotives back there in Germany and that. So kind of some interesting tidbits on that. So, but just like any forms of motorsport, whether it be NASCAR, drag racing, you have to get the power of these machines down to the ground to pull that sled 300 feet. So we're going to see some really good competition here tonight. And of course, we got a little bit of rain going on again. But we got drivers from Nebraska, Colorado, Wyoming here tonight for you. So I want to make sure you guys cheer for your favorite nameplate, whether it be Ford, Chevy, or Dodge, or in the tractor classes, whether you're a John Deere fan or an International fan. We want to make sure you guys are cheering for everybody. And we're going to go ahead and let this pass, and then we'll be right with you guys. shortly. And I think we got a special treat coming up as well. And don't forget, guys, tonight we are also live on fullpull.tv. You can check out all the NSPA Heartland pulling events that we have throughout the year if you can't make them. Just $40 a month will get you that streaming service, not only for the NSPA Heartland, but also our parents, the Outlaws, and NTPA. Also, their events are streamed live. Also, you can also follow along with the Outlaw Pulling app. Download that for free. That gives you the lineups that you will be able to follow along with us as we go tonight. Tells you who's in what class and what classes we're running. So if you are a pulling fan through and through, go ahead and download that app tonight. And of course, we also want to check out KaiserImaging.com. Kevin Kaiser is here taking some photos today. Always does a great job. Teasing him when I saw him today that, oh, I get a new photo for my Facebook tonight. So my annual update of photos on Facebook. He always takes some great pictures in that. He's got one from when we were in Keensburg a couple years ago that I really like of the Gone Nuts truck, and then there's a rainbow right behind it. That's one of my favorite photos. He's even caught some photos of me not knowing he got photos, and then I go back and look at him when he posts. I'm like, oh, I didn't know he took that photo. And if you love what you see here tonight and don't mind traveling a little bit to catch us some more, we are in Julesburg tomorrow night, 7 o'clock showtime. Nice little pool there. And then we've got Mitchell, Nebraska coming. So we pull up the schedule here. We got, like we said, Julesburg tomorrow night. Mitchell, Nebraska coming up on Wednesday the 30th. Then we start out in Greeley, Colorado next Friday. Next Saturday, we up at Cheyenne, Wyoming, 4 o'clock start time there. And then we go to Neely, Nebraska, West Point, Nebraska, and then Longmont, Colorado again on August 8th. Palmer, Nebraska, Broken Bow, Nebraska. And then we take a few weeks off, and then we round up in Brush, Colorado on September 26th. We'll have some champions crowned for this year's season. So a lot of great pulling action coming up for you for the remainder of the 2025 season. And of course, if you can't come to any of those pools, like we said, fullpool.tv, live stream. Or follow us on the app. And as you look down here in the here, all of our pullers getting ready to line up for you in our boxes. So it's going to be a fun night. And also just a little history on truck and tractor pulling. Back in the old days when we used to actually measure these distances, we used to have what was called a measuring crew, and they would go out to the nearest foot mark, lay a straight line across the track, and then they would measure from there to the point where a screwdriver was inserted, which is in front of the sled. And that was how we used to got the measurements. Now we do it by satellite. All righty, we're going to go ahead and get started here. First, I always like to welcome some special folks that we have in the audience. If you are active military, a reservist, or a veteran, please stand, and we want to thank you for your service. Any veterans or active military? And of course, if we have any first responders in the audience, police, fire, EMTs, please stand and also be recognized for your service. It is hot. course, let's not forget the nurses in that. So, any nurses are in the audience, go ahead and also be recognized. Some of our frontline workers. And with that, let's go ahead and stand and remove cover for our prayer and national anthem.
Hello? Oh, feel free to sing along with me.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful evening here tonight in Arapahoe County Fairgrounds. And Lord, we ask your protection over these competitors tonight, that each and every one is safe going down this track, putting on a good show for you. And we ask that you watch over them as they leave and head on out to Julesburg for tomorrow night. And we also ask for your protection over our fans as they continue to enjoy the fair and travel home as well. In your blessed name, we say amen. And now, Dina with our national anthem.
Now feel free to sing along, everybody. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the rampart we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Yeah, give it up for Dina. Good job. All righty, so we got a little special thing going on here. We've got a birthday going on here. Ashley's riding in the turret of this Arapahoe County Sheriff Bearcat here. And I'm going to come down here and find one of the sheriff officers and see if they can give us a little bit of information on this Bearcat. So just go ahead and tell us a little bit about Bearcat.
Test. This is a Lenco Bearcat. It's an armored vehicle that we use for rescue operations. It's about 26,000 pounds, bulletproof, has taken several rounds from 50 cal and several other small arms.
And Ashley gets to ride in it for her birthday today. Thank you, sir. So let's give her a good happy birthday applause there for getting a special ride in a Sheriff's Bearcat on the vintage green pulling sled. So that's just kind of an example of what truck and tractor pulling is going to look like for you. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit faster and a little bit noisier. We're going to start our first class here tonight. We've got our work stock 4-wheel drives. They have to weigh 10,000 pounds maximum with the driver going across the scales. We've got Coulter Burrow out of Kersey, Colorado in a 2006 Dodge 3500 that he calls Burrow's Express. Get our skid loader back out here to rake up the track a little bit and get it rolled back in. After each and every pass, we get our skidster out here with the rake and get the packing vehicle on there and re-groom the track. So now each and every one of our competitors have a equal shot at being able to attempt this 300-foot track of fun. And of course, our flaggers today, we got and then we got Jarrett down at the 300-foot line. We're going to get the tractors in here and kind of groom this a little bit, get some of that moisture mixed back in. Because obviously we want to be able to get some good grip for these guys, because some of this wheel speed that these guys generate, if they can't get it, just like I was saying earlier, if they can't get the horsepower to the ground, they're pretty much not going to go anywhere. So I think we're going to just take the top layer off here. And as you can kind of see just off of that first pass, that kind of pretty much took that muddy stuff right off of there. Getting down to some of that good dirt. I mean, we want a little bit of moisture in there just so it can be able to go back and compact nice and good, but we also want to be able to have a good track to where bite. Get up to our 4-wheel drive trucks, and because those guys, they've got all 4 wheels working hard on the Pro Stock 4-wheel drives and the modified 4-wheel drives. All 4 tires are working hard to get those guys some good distances on their pulls. Your tractors and the 2-wheel drive guys, they're mostly using their rear wheels, but you still want to be able to get some good traction for those guys. course, Mother Nature had to have a little bit of say in tonight by giving us that little bit of a rain shower, but so we thank you guys for bearing with us here today. It looks like we got most of our competitors back here. I know we've still got some back in the far pit area still getting ready to come on up here still, so you'll kind of see them towards the east end of the track as they're loading in to get ready for you tonight. And you see kind of over here about the 75-foot mark or so, a couple of the drivers are sitting there talking and that, and you'll see some of the drivers here as we kind of get this track cleared up a little bit and cleaned up. Will come out with the stick and then around. They're trying to find the good spot to be able to set the sled up. Now, in the sport of truck and tractor pulling, again, for those of you that are new, every competitor can decide where they want to set the sled at on the track from left to right on the track. In some cases, everybody kind of goes in the same spot. That's what we kind of tend to call in that they're building a road. But every now and then you'll get some of the competitors that'll sit there and go, you know what, I think this side of the track is going to be a little bit better than the original side. So you'll see there's an orange cone that's placed down there by where the sled's at. And when Kyle backs it up, he has to line it up with that cone for that next competitor. Each and every class that we have, the first puller in that class is called our test puller. He has the right to, at the end of his pull, decide on if he's going to keep it or if he's going to drop it. And he can drop it for various reasons. Obviously, he didn't get a good start off of the line, so it didn't cause him enough to get down at the far end. Or he just feels he can just do a whole lot better. Or, as his other choice is, he could go ahead and keep the pull and figured, nope, everybody's got to come after me. And, of course, either decision can either be good or bad. Just kind of depends on how the track is and how the other competitors do at getting their setup and all that. And then in each and every class, every competitor also has up to 100 feet to decide if their takeoff was good or not, and they can go ahead and slow down and re-pull their hook. The first one in the class has the right to turn his original hook down no matter what it is. So and just as a reminder, parents, please make sure if you're up against the guardrail there, if you got your kids there, to kind of move them back, because as we get up into some of these bigger classes, tend to get a little wild. So we want to just make sure, for safety reasons, that even if you're sitting on the concrete wall, we ask that you get off and actually find the seat in the grandstands, just for your safety, guys. so we're going to get our end flagman down here ready to go. Once we have a green light on the sled and both our flagmen have the green flags, Coulter will be ready to go. Just waiting for the packer to get kind of out of the way. Green flag at the end. Green light on the sled. Here we go, Coulter Burrow. Two 69.566. 16.1 miles per hour. Coulter Burrow and Burrows Express, our first official hook of the night. And of course, the Arapahoe County Fair would like to thank the E470 people for sponsoring our pool tonight. Our crew is working and getting the track back together. Jump into our small block economodified tractors. 5,700 pounds for these guys. Must be a maximum of 410 cubic inch or smaller on these tractors. Our first one up is Dwayne Pfister out of Long Pine, Nebraska, in a 1468 International tractor that they call 1468. All righty, in the 1468 IH. So his distance is 271.28. But like we said, because he was the first one in the class, he is going to go ahead and drop the hook. He feels he can do a lot better, so he's going to come back around and try it again. So now we are going to bring up out of Bridgeport, Nebraska, Kyle Lassetto in a tractor he calls the bow tie binder. Kyle's part of the family, the Lassetto pulling family out of Bridgeport, third generation driver. It all started back with his grandparents, Pete and Linda Lassetto. And then Greg Lassetto and his brothers took over. And now you got Kyle and Zach Lassetto out here continuing the family tradition for the Lassetto pulling family. Here is a Farmall 560. Kyle's been pulling since 2005. Early. So here we go. Green light on the sled. Green light on the flags. Here we go. Kyle Lassetto. Out there. 298. Miles per hour. That is going to be your distance to beat in the small block modifieds. 298.322. Up next out of Fort Morgan, Colorado, Jeff Widges in a 1066 case redneck binder. To the redneck binder. Again, it's a 10-6 international. It's been going since 2008. Champion with the CTTPA, Tractor Pullers Association. A past champion with the NSPA. Compared to the rest of the small block tractors we've got here tonight. So here we go. Green flag at the finish line. We're going to wait for Jared Lay to get done hooking up the redneck binder. Pulling forward. Green lights. Kyle's ready to go. Green flags at the start line. Here we go. Jeff Widges, redneck binder. 75.952 for Jeff Widges and Redneck Finder. Up next, another tractor out of Long Pine, Nebraska. This is William Feister in a tractor they call One Piece at a Time. And it is a old Cockshot 50 tractor. One of the most unusual tractors and unique, beautiful tractors I've seen in the sport of truck and tractor pulling in my years of this. An old school Cockshot 50. Beautiful red and yellow. William actually moved all the way over to the near side to you guys, the right side of the track. He thinks there's probably a little bit more grip on that side. Again, these drivers are always trying to find where the best line is, and of course when Mother Nature has a say in it. But here we go, William Feister. So the lead distance was Kyle Lassetto at 298.322. William Feister, one piece at a time, goes 298.669. There's your new leader. And as you saw, he took a different style of attack to this track. He started over there on that far right-hand side and worked his way across to this left-hand side, kind of going against the grain a little bit, and that kind of helped him there. Got that little bit of an extra distance there at the end. And that's kind of what these guys do. They kind of track and kind of decide how are they going to attack it. And obviously with the track that we kind of got dealt with Mother Nature right now, it's going to be who's got the right combination and playing the right guessing game. And one of our sponsors for the Outlaw season for 2025 is Case IH. Case IH and their long-standing history of working for farmers to farmers. So you can find out more information from your local Case IH dealer or go online at caseih.com. Dwayne Feaster is coming back around on his next tractor called the Mean Moline. It's a Minneapolis Moline GB. You still do find them, and they do still operate from now and again. So it's not rare to see a Moline anymore, but you kind of have to look for them. But here comes Dwayne around with his Mean Moline, the Minneapolis Moline tractor. Dwayne's been pulling since 1999. His pit crew consists of his wife Julie, his son Byron and William, and of course you just saw William pull. So here we go. Let's see if he does the same thing William did. Try to cut across the grain of the track. He waited a little bit before he cut across, but he got back there. So, of course, William had the lead distance at 298.66. Dwayne, in his Moline, just went 310.025. Now, don't forget, Dwayne dropped his first hook in his 1468 IH. So he's going to quickly kind of go down to the end and shut it off, and he's going to get shuttled back over here. So hopefully between William and Dwayne, they figured something out on this track. So we'll see what his rehook does. Anytime we go out on an adventure, whether it's camping, to a sporting event, or just a good old fun time in the park, well, we need something to keep those beverages cool. Frosted Frog Coolers can do that for you. They have a great line of many different coolers and tumblers and great accessories to go with those. Check them out at frostedfrog.com. So we'll get Dwayne back around here. Now, if we could just get this wind stopped just a little bit. messing a little bit with our paperwork up here, so we're kind of having to hold it down. But here we go. Dwayne Feister back out with his 1468 International. Again, out of Long Pine, Nebraska. We want to make sure our big block modified tractor is back there ready. Colby, get him ready. All righty, let's see what Dwayne can do again. Green light, green flags. Here we go, Dwayne Pfister. So Dwayne's original hook on this tractor was 271.28. His second hook was a lot better than that, 295.265. But Dwayne on his Mean Moline tractor ends up winning the class at 310.29. So let's give these small block Economod tractor guys a great big round of applause for having to tackle a kind of a tough situation on this track. But that shows you the grit and determination of these pullers. They want to come out here and try to give you the best show they can with the circumstances. But as the night goes on, this track will come in and get a little bit better. Just like if you've ever gone to any of the dirt tracks around the country, sometimes you got to roll it in and work it in. By the time the feature comes around, you've got one good track. So hopefully that's what we end up getting here tonight. When we get to some of the bigger horsepower, we get a nice, good track for those guys. Our big block Economodifieds. Of course, these guys are going to have a little bit more horsepower. 475 cubic inches. A cast iron production automotive engine, V8 style. And our first one out for you John Deere fans, it's a John Deere 7420 that they call Stepchild. Colby's been pulling since 2024. And of course, his pulling influences are his grandparents. This is one of the Lissetto boys. Again, third generation driving here again tonight. Kyle's got the green light on the sled. He's ready to go. Coulter down here on the far end. It's green flag. Mason with the green flag. Here we go. Kyle Lissetto. Stepchild of John Deere. $299.515 for Kobe Lissetto. All righty. We ready for some pick'em trucks? Some pick'em trucks? How about we go into our Pro Stock 4x4 class? We got 3 good trucks running for you tonight. Our first one out for you Dodge fans. We got any Dodge fans in the stands? How about a 1971 Dodge Power Wagon out of Greeley, Colorado? John Kuntz in a truck he calls the Dude. John has been pulling since 2016. He originally started out with this truck in a modified gas class. And then, of course, he's worked on it and built it and worked on it and built it to become this truck you see here in front of you, a real top-running Pro Stock four-wheel drive truck. Picked up a win a couple of nights ago out in Akron, Colorado. Was second last night in Sidney, Nebraska. So let's see what John can do here tonight. Look at this beautiful truck, guys. Truck the Dude. A good old Dodge Power Wagon. Again, looks like everybody's going to go over to that right side of the track. They feel like that's where it's going to be for the grip. So let's see if John does kind of the same thing that the Fisters did by kind of cutting across the grain of the track. That seemed to kind of work. We'll see if anybody else in these classes have picked up on it. Kyle's ready to go. Coulter's on the big end, ready to go. Mason's to go. Here we go. John Coots and the Dude. Well, I'd say he cut across the green on that one. How about a 325.565 for John? We'll find out if he keeps that since he's the first in the class. I am going to assume he is going to go ahead and keep that hook. Coulter. Coulter, he's keeping that, right? All righty, so we're going to go up to Mike Franklin at Greeley, Colorado, in a truck he calls Misbehavin'. It's a 1978 Chevrolet 3500. He has been pulling since the early 90s. He's had several different trucks, and in fact, the next truck in the class was one of his old trucks. We'll talk about that when it comes up. But this truck all last year for Mike was his workhorse. He usually has two trucks in this class, but the other one he's kind of parked it in the corner and said, you know what, we're going to stick with this truck because this is the one that won us the money last year. Truck he calls Misbehavin'. So we'll get that starting line packed in there. So here we go. Oh, Mike Franklin misbehaving. So you Chevy guys, you think he can track down that Dodge? What about you Dodge guys? Do you think the Dodge is going to hold that distance? We'll find out. So as you look, Mike's got both of his hands up. He's signaling to Jared back there who's hooking him up that it is safe to do so. Jared is hooking up the main pulling chain, and then he's also hooking up a kill switch. So if at any time this truck would break free or any of the competitors break free from the sled, that kill switch will instantly kill the power. Here we go, Mike Franklin misbehaving. Well, little bit of a different approach to that. He almost pretty much went straight and was just kind of letting the track dictate it. So how about a distance of 347.489 for Mike Franklin? Up next, out of LaSalle, Colorado, Logan Cogburn in a truck they call the Dirt Intimidator. Like I had mentioned, this was a truck that was originally owned by Mike Franklin. Then it was sold and owned by a gentleman called by the name of Randy Kerr, who used to campaign this truck under the name of River Rat. And they still kind of got a picture of the rat on the front weight bar. Now it's owned by the Lays and Lay Motorsports, Nicole and Jared. And they got the Cogburns as their hired drivers for this truck. When Logan's not pulling it, his dad Landon's usually behind the wheel. They trade off doing pulling duties. Another beautiful Chevrolet. A 1972 Chevy C20. This truck has won the points championship back in 2003. Finished second in 2021, 2022. So this is a very good competitive truck. All three of these trucks are really good competitive. There's a couple other trucks in this class that did not make it tonight. So we would have had a good field of 5 very competitive trucks, but you got 3 of them here tonight. And here he comes, Logan Cogburn, Dirt Intimidator. A nice, beautiful looking Chevrolet, adorned in yellow. The Cogburns credit Nicole and Jared Lay with their early pulling influences. So let's see what Logan can do. He's getting help there from Terry Weber getting backed in there. It's very important to make sure that the hitch on these trucks is lined up just straight in line with the hook. You don't want to be off in any way, shape, or form. Green light. Green flags. Here we go. Logan Cogburn, Dirt Intimidator. Test. All righty. So the winner of the Pro Stock class was Mike Franklin. Now we're going into our Superfield class. Lauren Hotzen out of Minturn, Nebraska in a little bit red. .773 for Lauren Hotzen. So Lauren was the only one in that class, so he's going to go ahead and win that class. So again, as we were talking about, we got some sled changes that can happen throughout the night. As you see that box that goes up the rails there, we can also add some weight into that box. And each one of those weights is 2,000 pounds that we can add in there. We can also add a weight in between the rails of the sled. And then we can also, on either side of the pan, are pods that we can also add some weight to it to kind of preload the pan for you. And of course, underneath that pan or the skid plate is what is some angle iron underneath it that we call grouser bars. And that also helps dig into the track to help kind of slow these guys down. Another one of the adjustments that can be done, Kyle can also go down there and adjust the speed or the gearing on the weight box so it can come up faster or come up slower depending on which class we're going into. There's also an adjustment on there for the trip. And that trip is what that does is when that weight box hits that location on the sled, it pushes down, has a lever that pushes down on the back end of that skid plate, which also helps get those grouser bars in there a little bit deeper to slow these guys down. So it looks like right now that we're getting ready to do a weight change. We're going to go ahead and add one of those 2,000-pound blocks. The sled empty weighs 3,300 pounds, or 33,000 pounds. And then you keep adding these weights in there so it keeps going up as we go up in classes. So of course we're going to also get up into some louder stuff and some more horsepower. We still got our good old modified four-wheel drives coming up. We got some more diesel trucks coming up. And in fact, as I look over here in the staging line to get ready to come up to the track, we got our 2.5 diesel class coming up. So it's another great night of truck and tractor pulling for you guys. So far, like this track is going to slowly come. So it looks like we got that weight added in there right now. Just going to add that one weight in there. Then we'll get rolling right on into our 2.5 diesel class. 2.6, sorry, 2.6. Another great diesel class. Make sure as you guys are watching guys on the starting line, you're going to see it may look like they're taking a while to get going, but as what they're doing, they're trying to build up pressure and boost in that turbo in these diesel engines. The key is you want to watch the smoke that's coming out of the smokestack there. It'll kind of be a white, grayish smoke to start, and as soon as they get built up to where the numbers they want to look for, when it turns black, that's when they're making the horsepower they need. And that's when we like to call they're rolling a little coal when it comes to that. The 2.6 diesel trucks that have a maximum weight of 8,000 pounds when they come across the scales. And the body must be an OEM truck body, including the full bed. Wheelbase on these trucks cannot exceed 172 inches. And of course, the motors are 460 cubic inches limited on the motors for these guys. Our first truck up is Eric Whitmarsh in a truck he calls Out for Business. Eric has been pulling since 2015. Here we go, Eric Whitmarsh, Out for Business. It did not want to go. Let's try it again. good run for Eric. How about 3:20.996? 23.7 miles per hour for Eric Whitmarsh. We'll see if he keeps that distance or if he thinks he can come back around and do a little bit better. He is going to go ahead and keep that hook, so that's the distance to beat, 3:20.996. Up next, out of Sterling, Colorado, Chad Luce in a 2008 Ram 2500 that he calls Foolish Addictions. He's been pulling since 2013. His favorite pulling event was the Shy Diesel Extravaganza, held annually by the PPL out in Indiana. A lot of these guys have gone out there the past couple of years to go show them what Colorado has as far as pullers, and they've all fared well out there. And Chad's one of those competitors. So we'll get this packer to come down here and get this starting line packed down. And here comes Chad Luce, peeking his nose around the corner there as he gets ready for his hook. In his beautiful 2008 Ram 2500. We got 4 great for you in this class. Every single one of them is very competitive. Distance to beat was Eric Whitmarsh, 3:20.996. So as you've seen in some of the other classes, each one of these pullers has somebody helping them get backed in. But in these diesel truck classes, they actually got mirrors on there that they can actually use to help get backed up. And again, it's very important that they get lined up straight and squarely to that sled. Again, put the chain in there and the kill switch. Jared's got them all hooked up, letting them know, go ahead and pull the slack out of the chain. Green light. Green flags. Here we go. Chad Luce, Foolish Addictions. That did not sound good. Sounded like something maybe in the front let go. Because that front end, I don't know if you saw it, but we kind of saw it here. It was kind of doing a little shimmy shake out there. Hopefully it's nothing serious that Chad can't get fixed right away to come back out for Sterling tomorrow. 268.508 was the distance there for Chad. Let's give him a round of applause there for this coming out here and trying to put on a show for you guys. And like we said, hopefully it's nothing too major that he can't get fixed for tomorrow night. Next truck up is out of Scottsbluff, Nebraska. Another Dodge Ram 2500. Jacob Ratliff in a truck he calls Midnight Express. Again, he was one of the guys that went out to the Shy Diesel Extravaganza. He is a past champion with the NSPA back in 2022 and 2023. He is a diesel mechanic by trade, so he knows these trucks in and out. And look at that beautiful wrap on that weight box of his. It's got an old-fashioned coal train sitting on there. Pretty good indicative of kind of what these guys do with with that diesel smoke coming out. Looks like a good old coal freight train coming down there with that sled behind him. Let's see what Jacob can do. Distance to beat is 320.966. Alrighty, so just kind of the angle on the sled, the red light will illuminate, but Kyle will go ahead and take that off so we can prevent the sled from rolling a little bit. So we're all good there. Green light, green flags for Jacob Ratliff. Trying to get it cleaned out a little bit. There we go. Sounds like he's getting it cleaned out, ready to go. You'll see it as he's coming out here. Dirty Money is the name of the truck. When he started pulling with it last year, it kind of had a door panel of this color, a fender of this color, a hood of this color. So it's a little kind of mixed up, but now he's got this beautiful wrap on it. And again, looks like everybody is going over to that far right side. Like I kind of mentioned earlier, we're kind of building a road over there. A little bit, so that's usually a sign that he is going a little further than what Coulter thought. So distance, like we said, was Jacob, his brother, at 323.497. How about 338.218 for Jarrett Ratliff? That is going to be your winner tonight in the 2.6 diesel class. 25.7 miles per hour. All righty, we're going to go back to some tractors again. We are going to go into our light limited super stock tractors. The diesel tractors will come across the scales to weigh a maximum of 6,500 pounds. These have to be an agricultural style chassis, no component chassis like you see in some of the other classes. The engine must be an OEM manufactured block or a factory replacement block. So if it's a John Deere tractor, that's a John Deere motor in there. If it's a Case IH tractor, it's a Case IH motor in there. Gordon Messbergen out of Greeley, Colorado, in a tractor he calls Ruffian. It's a John Deere 4010. Gordon has been pulling since 2010. And he's kind of been pulling for a while. Been pulling at county fairs and farm tractor classes and that. And he felt to go ahead and step on up a little bit, get a little bit more horsepower and a little bit bigger tractor. Did not see him out in Akron this past week, but he's got it out here tonight. Beautiful John Deere tractor. As we said, we got a couple of John Deere tractors in this class. And Gordon is a retired farmer, truck driver, and an owner-operator. So now Gordon's just kind of living the good life there of sitting at the farm and hanging out, and every now and then brings this tractor out to play. And again, you see you got Dwayne Feister down there helping him get back in. Again, just like the diesel trucks you saw, these guys love to roll coal themselves. So here we go. Green light, green flags. Gordon Messbergen, the Ruffian. On him there, and he was headed towards this left side line here. He had to let it out and back it down because that would not be good. And it looks like he did get that out of bounds line over there on that right side. That is the call we're getting from Kyle on the sled. So unfortunately, that is a DQ for Gordon. Anytime any part of the pulling vehicle touches the white out of bounds line, it is a disqualification. So Gordon, even though he went DQ'd, his distance was 257.64. But like we said, because he did go out of bounds, that will go down officially as a DQ. So up next, we've got Dan Christensen out of Cheyenne, Wyoming, in a tractor that this tractor has a little bit of a pedigree to it. This tractor was originally owned by Gary Whiff out of Frankfort, South Dakota, and it was originally called the Deer Fever. This tractor was a 7-time NTPA championship pulling vehicle, and they have what they call an interleague pull-off championships, and they were a winner 2 times in their respective class with this tractor. Now Dan owns this tractor, and well, he's still showing that it's got its competitive spirit on it, and he's really competitive, and he has won a few points championships with this particular tractor in both NSPA and Heartland. Dan Christensen, Cheyenne, Wyoming, in the wanted. Whoa, look out, look out. That was one wild ride. All the weight's flung off of it. Give Dan a round of applause as he steps out of there. He looks like he's okay. .176.62 was the distance there for Dan. So we got some t-shirt cannon here coming off to shoot some t-shirts for you. Why, we've got a little bit of a downtime there. So Gordon Messbergen is going to go ahead and come back and rehook. Because remember, Gordon was the first tractor in that class. So after rethinking, he's go ahead and going to come back around and rehook. Alrighty, so we got Gordon Messbergen turned around. So go ahead and rehook because he dropped his original hook. Alrighty, so we'll get Gordon refired up and gathered up over here. So with the NSPA rules and that, because he did have weight flying off of his pulling vehicle, Dan does get a DQ for that. All weights have to be securely attached to the tractor or the truck. So here comes Gordon Messbergen back out with the Ruffian. He's going to take a second attempt. His earlier look. So Gordon's original hook was 257.64, but and a lot smoother this time. So 266.439 for Gordon. That was greater than his first hook and going to be your winning hook tonight. So give it up for Gordon Messbergen and the Ruffian taking home first place tonight in the light limited super stock tractors. course, the Arapahoe County Fair would like to thank the E470 Commission for helping put on this pool tonight. Without them, we couldn't make this happen. And one of our sponsors with the NSPA Heartland is Stop Fire. Stop Fire fire extinguishers not only help put out the fire, but also prevents it from reigniting. Stop Fire's foam and protection that they have is great for putting out these alcohol fires as well. We use them quite a lot sometimes. If you want to find out more of Stop Fire, go onto their website and check them out. Ag One Protect Insurance. Ag One handles insurance for all your motorsports needs. Got any rainouts that happen? They also protect your vehicle, your crops, your farm equipment, your race cars, haulers, and transporters. They are competitors themselves in the world of truck and tractor pulling, so they know what it takes for not only putting on events, but also protecting their equipment. Check them out at ag1protect.com. Up there. Super Street Diesel class. 8,000 pounds for these trucks. They must have a stock block, either an OEM replacement or its replica. Single turbocharger in these. First one up is Paul Speck out of Severance, Colorado, in a truck he calls Old Yeller, a 2006 Chevy 2500. And he is, not only does he drive this, he also owns a sponsor on this truck, Bruce's Bar. Some of the world's famous Rocky Mountain oysters at Bruce's Bar. Here we go, Paul Speck. Green light, green flags. Old Yeller. So Paul ended up going 310.064. So he kind of got into it easy out of the starting line, and he is going to go ahead and keep his hook. So that is the lead distance of 310.064. It was almost like he was just taking it easy out there, trying not to really overdo it. But we will see what happens. Up next, out of Erie, Colorado, Daryl Johnson in a Dodge 3500 that he calls the Cimarron. Daryl took over the driving duties of this truck this year. His wife Cindy used to pull this competitively for many, many years, but Cindy decided, you know what, I've had enough, but we can still campaign the truck and you drive it. So here's Daryl making his attempt this year. Daryl's been a long-time competitor with us as well. When we used to run a modified diesel truck class for the big rigs, Daryl was one of those competitors in that class. Had a really nice Freightliner in there that he was campaigning in that class. But here he is in this beautiful Dodge that they call the Cimarron. Daryl, again, is a veteran of the sport of truck and tractor pulling. And he is a farmer by trade. One of our great farmers that we have out here in this country that's supplying us with lots of good stuff. 310.064 is the distance to beat for Daryl. Again, getting the chain hooked in there, getting the kill switch hooked in there. And just like we've seen tonight so far, we've had a couple of wild rides. Thankfully, nothing's broken away from the sled. And thankfully, we haven't had to use the kill switch for that either, so. Pull the slack out of the chain. Green light, green flags. Here we go. Daryl Johnson, the Cimarron. Three, 392 for Daryl Johnson. So Paul Speck is going to be your winner in the Super Street Diesel class at 310.064. So how about we get loud and go to a little bit more horsepower, guys? How about we bring up our modified four-wheel drives? Now, if you've been a fan of the NSPA and you followed us for many, many years, we are actually missing one of our competitors. Last year, at the end of the year, we lost Bill Schwartz, owner and driver of the Junkyard Dog. So we continue to pull our four-wheel drive class in memory of Bill, one of our great competitors in this class, one of the veterans in this class as well. So we know Bill is looking down on us and going, have fun, guys, and go get them. And, of course, gals, because we can't forget our first competitor in this class out of Kersey, Colorado. Ladies, give it up for Nicole Lay in a truck she calls Geared Up, a 2005 Chevrolet. Nicole just got this truck back in time to pull in Akron. Got the motor put back together in that, and she's back out here ready to rock and roll. She's going to set the distance here for the guys. Got four very good trucks in this class. So ladies, make sure you give Nicole a lot of cheering in that to help her go down this track. Here she is, Nicole Lay in this beautiful Chevrolet. She calls Geared Up. And of course, that's husband Jared out there helping her get back in. He is the crew chief on these trucks. And of course, her occupations she has listed is a Nana first and a business owner second. Nicole keeps herself busy with the many businesses that they have and the NSPA and being a nanny. But I think if you ask her, I think she would say that the nanny will be her favorite job of them all. And anybody that is a grandmother would probably know that, what she's talking about. So the modified four-wheel drives basically have about 95% of the weight out in front. They weigh 6350 when they come across the scales. You don't see it much at this pool, but when they pull in some other places, they have to get some guys in the back to help turn it around. But here we go, Nicole Lay to start us off. Green light, green flags. Oh, yeah. How about 304.123? So Nicole's going to go ahead and keep that distance of 304.123. So up next, as we were talking about the legend of Bill Schwartz, we also have another legend here, Mr. Ron Green out of Fort Morgan, Colorado. Ron is celebrating 50 years in the sport of truck and tractor pulling. For many, many years, he has campaigned a truck called Kamikaze. Then he had a truck that he called Lucky Sevens. Then he bought this truck from a gentleman by the name of Rob Foster, who has always campaigned the trucks, if you see him on the NTPA circuit, by the name of Simply Red. This was one of Rob Foster's trucks that he used to campaign. Back in the old Region 5, back in 1987 in the 6,200-pound class of the NTPA, Ron is a former champion that year in this class. So Ron, 50 years of pulling. And his first hook was back in Akron, Colorado 50 years ago. And he won that hook too. So that was the first of many hooks for Ron Green of winning them, putting them in the winner's circle. And of course, he is a past champion with NSPA for many, many years, and is well known around these parts. And even back in 1987, his favorite pulling event was back in Aloha Stadium in Hawaii. Got to pull with those guys out there in Hawaii. Again, started back in 1975. Beautiful Chevy Apache truck that he calls Jackpot. So let's see if Ron Green can actually get the jackpot tonight. Here we go. Green lights, green flags. Ron Green, jackpot. Oh, yeah. Coulter was running out there to catch up with him. How about a full pull? 364.525. 28.5 miles per hour for Ron Green. All righty, up next is Ron's son, Tyler Green. He's also out of Fort Morgan, Colorado. Now he's driving the trucks that are called Kamikaze. Tyler has had a good year so far this year. Right now, he is leading the point standings going into tonight. He's got a couple of wins so far on the year. Been pulling since 1999, his beautiful Chevy Silverado. His favorite highlight was winning at Rock Valley, Iowa. That's one of the Outlaws national premier events, is the Rock Valley Pool. And if you kind of see, there's really not much weight on that rear end because it kind of bobbled a little bit. Again, these four-wheel drive trucks, of course, use all four wheels to pull. 95% of that weight, like I said, is up on that front end with that big old motor and that weight box. That sled helps keep that rear end down. However big of a pocketbook you've got is how big of a motor you can basically put in these trucks. But again, it still matters if you can get that horsepower to the ground. light, green flags. Here we go. Tyler Green, kamikaze. So 364.52 was the distance to beat set by Ron Green. How about we go 368.004 for Kamikaze and Tyler Green. That was at 29.6 miles per hour. Just like the old World War II Japanese fighter pilots, they went kamikaze all right on the back end. All righty, we've got one more hook in this class. And then we are going to take a little short break as we get ready to set off the fireworks. But then after the fireworks, we are going to go hot and heavy with the rest of our event. So stick around. We got more to come. We got more tractors. We got the two-wheel drives, the super modified two-wheel drives. We got 3 good old school trucks for you. And a lot of history within those trucks as well. We'll get to that when that class comes up. But our last hook in this class out of Greeley, Colorado, Ivan Schneider in a Chevy 15. We got any Brooks and Dunn fan out there? Brooks and Dunn? Well, you're going to know the name of this truck. We're going to do a little boot scootin' boogie. That's the name of this truck that Ivan's got. Nice, beautiful white with the blue frames on it. Boot scootin' boogie, Ivan Schneider. Owner and operator at Schneider Paving, one of the sponsors on this truck. His daughters, Iva and Layla, used to pull with us for years. This was Layla's truck. Iva's truck is owned by Mike Franklin now. I saw her here a little bit later. It was good to see Iva. Stop here visiting for the summer. But Ivan Schneider, boot scootin' boogie. 368.004 is his distance to beat. Waiting for the Packer to get pulled in the spot back there. Green light, green flags, here we go. Oh, something happened there right just past the 200 feet. He let out of it. And once again, we're going to shoot the fireworks off. And then we'll get back going. When we come back, we'll have our 3.0 diesel trucks, our light limited pro stock tractors, and our wheeling standing two-wheel drive trucks. Oh, we're going to keep going then. So we are going to go into our 3.0 class, actually. Our 3.0 diesel class, maximum weight of 8,000 pounds when they come across the scale. Body must be truck body, and the body also must retain its full sheet metal. $460 cubic inch max on these trucks. And the engines can actually be interchanged between the vehicles, just as long as they come in a 1 ton or smaller pickup truck from the factory. And of course, they use a DOT type street tire on these trucks. Mike Meineke out of Brighton, Colorado, in a truck he calls Rambunctious. Will be our first hook in the class. It's a 2006 Dodge Ram 2500. Mike, as well, is one of those drivers that have gone out to the Shy Diesel Extravaganza to pull. Been very competitive at this. There goes the fireworks, guys. rambunctious. Jason Widges out of Lock Bowie, Colorado, in a 2003 Ford F-350. Hey, wasn't that a good fireworks show there? All righty, Jason out of Lock Bowie, Colorado. 2003 Ford F-350 in a truck he calls EPA approved. Great name for a diesel pulling truck. Jason's been pulling since 2016. And of course, he is a champion 2018, 2022, 2024 in this class. Look at this beautiful Ford truck, EPA approved, Jason Widges, Lock Bowie, Colorado. 1 year out at Greeley. The way we pull at Greeley is we kind of pull back into the stadium, and right in front of the bucking chutes we have a pile of dirt kind of protecting the bucking chutes and kind of signaling the very end of the track. And in order to win that class, Jason literally had to take his truck and pretty much put the front end up on that hill. And guess what? He actually did that. Our poor flagman that night was actually standing up on that hill to flag him down, but he got those front tires and that weight bar up on that hill at the end to win that class. Both Mike and Jason are very good competitors in this class, and on any given day, either one of them can win the class. Right now, Mike set the distance at 374.177. Let's see if Jason can do it in the Ford. All right, Ford fans, let's see if he can do it. Green light, green flags. EPA approved. So how about 366.372 for Jason Widges? That means Mike Meineke is winner tonight at 370 plus. Up next, going back to the tractors. We got our limited pro stock tractors. 8,500 pounds is the weight for these guys. The engine block and the heads must be an OEM agricultural type for that brand of engine. Any cast or manufactured cylinder heads are allowed in this class. turbocharger that they use is a 3.4 smoothbore turbo. One of the great pulling classes, one of my favorite classes. I like calling these guys the smoker tractors. Although, as we know, there are many different classes of smoker tractors, but these, for some reason, are my favorite. And, of course, we also don't want to forget the E470 Commission for putting on the pool here tonight. We want to make sure we thank those guys. First up, Bridgeport, Nebraska. Zach Lassetto in a tractor they call a horse without a name. Again, like we said, part of that great Lassetto pulling family. And this is a McCormick MXT 155, the horse without no name for Kyle Lassetto, Bridgeport, Nebraska. Again, third generator. Green light, green flags, here we go. That was a good distance there. 321.543. 25.4 miles per hour for Zach Lassetto. Let's see if he keeps this hook or not. He is going to go ahead and keep that hook, so we are official. 321.543 is the distance to beat. Up next, out of Scottsbluff, Nebraska, Jim Darnell, part of the JD Farms team. It's actually Jeff Darnell pulling tonight. Used to kind of help these guys several years ago, and I've always teased Jeff about pulling. I keep telling him, you got to drive it like you stole it. But the JD Farms pulling team has been pulling around for several years. They started out in a farm stock class under the Red Rider name with a 1466 International. Then they took some years off and they got back into the sport in 2014 with this particular tractor right here. And then the following year, they came back with 2 tractors. Crazy Horse is their other tractor, which is, I think, will come back out later on this year, waiting on some parts and that to get it back together. But here's Red Rider, who's your former 2014 points champion for NSPA. Let's see what they can do. The JD Farms pulling team. So 321.543 was the distance. How about 327.272 for Jeff Darnell and Red Rider? Going to take your win tonight in the light limited pro stock tractor class. We got our last class of the night. And I suggest that if you've got some ear protection, not for those little ones, get on them. And again, if you're up against those jersey barriers, we ask that you please step away from those jersey barriers because this class can get a little wild. We got our super modified 2-wheel drives. We're going to get loud and we're going to do some wheel standing. We got 3 very good trucks parked out behind us back here. The first truck out comes out of Rocky Ford, Colorado. It's a 1957 Chevrolet they call the Igniter. This truck is driven by Bobby Hernandez, owned by Kenneth Wilson. These guys have pulled for many, many years. And up until this year, the Igniter was sitting in a trailer and since 2009. So they finally got it out of the trailer, went through it, and have been here trying to pull. And they keep tinkering on it and trying to find the things that work and trying to get it to be competitive again. And unlike truck and tractor pulling is one of the only motorsports where you have no practice and no time to figure things out. The only time you get a chance to know if something worked or something didn't work is when you're here in competition. And I was just back there talking to Ken, asking him, where one of his other trucks was at, Malin Crazy. And he was telling me he's kind of doing some work on that truck, updating it to get it ready. Hopefully they'll have that truck back out for Greeley. But they've been trying to figure out what's going on with the Igniter because it kind of cuts in and out on them every now and then. And they're doing it the right way. They're going one step at a time to try to figure out what's working, what's not, until they find out the exact combination to get that truck to 100%. And on that truck, that is the original sheet metal on the truck. The same with one of the other trucks that's coming out, original sheet metal on it. These are some really good